Hello, everybody. I'm Greg. Welcome to 3D Make It. And I'm here not alone, but not with David. So, David is still out, not feeling so hot. We wish him well and hope he gets better soon because everyone wants him back, and so do I. Because doing the show alone is trying at times. I do appreciate everyone that shows up and is in chatting with us, and that's always awesome. But we do have someone with us, which I'll introduce in a minute here. But we're hey Stig, how you doing? Sorry I didn't get back to you earlier with the reply, but I figured I'd post the link and whatnot. So we, but before I go too far, I do want to thank. Ooh, I think I forgot to add my picture. There we are. I just want to thank these people. Helge, thanks for supporting us at tree support level, and everyone else. We are really appreciated to all of you for supporting us on Patreon. If you do support us, you get some perks. You get to join us on Discord, where we post and chat, and I've been a little negligent on it lately, so I got to get back doing that. I've been busy with a whole bunch of stuff, but we will stay on top of that. We've got some other perks. We're working on a workshop that we're going to be doing. So, again, thanks to everyone who supports us and at these levels. And again, a perk, you can join us in Patreon, and you can also join us on a live stream, kind of like this person right here. Hello, Dominic. How you doing?
Morning. Hey, everybody. I'm doing good
Yeah.
so
So,
far. Trying to get the mic out of my face, but
no, that's okay. That's okay. So, Dominic was kind enough to join me this morning. So I'm not completely alone. We had a nice chat before the show started, and kind of got a couple ideas for some stuff we're going to talk about as we go along. We talked a little bit about some of the stuff we've been printing. Last week, I believe it was Victor in chat was asking some questions about printing with PTG and trying to make things watertight and whatnot. And so I had to do some printing, and some of the printing I had to do, I didn't wasn't I'm not fully set up to do ABS, even though my little Voron back there can do ABS. I'm just not quite set up. I haven't kind of dialed it in enough. So I pulled out some PETG, and this is a mount that's going to go in my engine compartment in my electric car. And I'm actually going to add a frunk to my electric car with this. So a little rubber grommet goes in there, and where the plastic cowl that just covers everything to make it look pretty, I'm going to pull that out, clip this on, and I'm putting a Pelican case in the front. So, but just because it's in that, it doesn't get very hot in there. But I thought PLA is not the right material, so I pulled out my Amazon Basics. If that's like a rarity now, like good luck finding Amazon Basics anymore. But this is an Amazon Basics PETG, and so I sliced it up in Cura because I've said I'm using Cura for a month, and first print was perfect. Like I literally made a profile, used the default profile settings, changed the temperature just for the material, and changed the cooling just again for the material, and everything else was the same. Added a couple extra walls just because I wanted it fairly rigid, and it printed perfect. And then I decided, oh, wow, that printed so well, I'm going to tweak it a bit. And then I printed these and they got the wisps on them. So I've switched it back to the default, and we'll see if I get rid of some of those wisps. There wasn't much. It's still printed excellent. Like the surface quality is really good and whatnot. But yeah, I had some wispies that we all get on with PETG, right, Dominic? You've experienced that too.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's what I've been printing.
I use PETG for anything that needs to be under stress.
Yep.
Or for temperature concerns like
yeah.
Um,
yeah. Well, I figured it's even though I don't have an engine, my motor's way at the bottom. It's an electric motor and whatnot. It doesn't actually get that hot in the engine compartment because it has there's a plastic cowl that sits over top of it. If you pull it off, you can just easily replace it. And a lot of people have modded it. And I found a Pelican case at it's kind of like our Harbor Freight. It's called Princess Auto. They had a Pelican case on sale for dirt cheap. Regular $300 if you buy it new, and it fits perfectly. Under there, it seals. I can put all my charging cord and some little extras, my tire emergency kit, and free up more space in my trunk. So that's the plan. A lot of people have done this mod, but they use different types of cases. Like they use the thin plastic, like see-through tubs, and I thought that seems like not so good. And then I saw this Pelican case, which they're practically bulletproof, those things. So I thought that would work good. So that's the project I'm working on this week, for sure. And you said you're not really printing much because your grandson hasn't given you any projects.
Yeah, or my daughter. My daughter always wants me to print boxes to organize her kitchen. It seems like everything she comes up with is a box. So I'm thinking maybe I should look at that.
Sometimes I've found that the boxes are cheaper just to buy at the dollar store.
Well, I know they're cheaper to buy at the dollar store, but she wants a particular filament. She likes the what is it, the stone something.
The marble.
The marble.
Yeah.
She likes the marble, and she wants everything to match. So it's
okay.
gotta all be in that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about looking into what's the guy's name? He wears the homemade Google thing.
Oh yeah.
And then he invented this whole organizational thing with some of it's done with SCAD, and you can just give the size of the things, and they all fit into a grid system. And so it's. So I was thinking maybe I should look into that.
Maybe.
I can't think of the guy's name. He's a genius. He does all this stuff, and there's somebody out there who knows what his name is, but
yeah, I don't know him. I had a problem with stringing until I converted my printers to direct drive. Yeah, this one's my stock Ender. So it has a Bowden tube. I have made the Bowden tube very rigid, so there's not any excess movement, and so I have been able to reduce my retraction quite a bit. But I do have a direct drive kit that I'm working on putting on there. Where is it? It was around here. That's my problem, is I have too much crap around here. I gotta clean up. I don't see it, but I have the orbiter I made a design to adapt it so that I can put it on my Ender and use the stock hot end, but now converted to direct drive. So that's the plan.
I've never used direct drive. You know, I don't know.
It's nice.
My printers work there.
Both this one and my Chiron. So Bumblebee and Blue Thunder both are direct drive, and I tell you, when you can get a retraction of 0.8.
Yeah, I mean,
It's pretty nice.
I'm running at 0.3, works fine.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to slow down just because I have direct drive. So,
No, you don't slow down. You can go faster.
I don't know. I don't want to have to worry about how to get rid of the ringing. So
No, that's true. That's fair enough. Yeah, but yeah, and that printer is so big, the mass of the bed moving back and forth is a big. That's the one thing. People want to print big, 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 big. The bigger you go, especially with a bed flinger, you've got the mass of the bed that you're moving back and forth, back and forth. So you need to kind of compensate for that. Otherwise, you will get ringing and other artifacts that will show up in your print from the resonance of the printer's mass moving.
yeah,
That's why Core XYs are so sought after, because you can print fast and your mass is smaller, because really the only mass that you're moving is the print head, and
yeah.
your print bed is just moving down. So there's no the resonant frequency is so small compared to a bed flinger.
Right now, I've got an Ender 3 and an Ender 5. I print almost everything on the Ender 5 unless I need. The Ender 3's got a little more space on the build plate, but I've got to also figure that the bed's flying around, and so
Yep.
a lot of times the Ender 5 will just print it better.
Yep. No, absolutely. So and
Although the one thing about the Ender 5 you got to take into consideration, the Bowden tube is a lot longer on the Ender 5.
absolutely.
than on the Ender. So,
That's why a lot of Ender 5 style printers and whatnot have gone to Core XY direct drive, because they eliminate you can still have a Bowden tube, but it's more not a Bowden tube. It's more just a guide for the filament to get to the print head,
yeah,
to
but you
the
still have to
actual
put a motor on
extruder.
your gantry, and I don't know about that,
Well, yeah, that's true.
because
You do.
then you're adding in the reason that you don't have a bed slinger.
But the mass is relative, right? Because you can get
Well,
very high torque motors you can put a small motor with good gearing and get the same effect as a heavier motor too.
right,
So
but then you're paying $100+ for the
absolutely,
extruder.
like
Like,
you can get a really light printer for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars,
yeah,
or you can spend $300 and get a decent printer that prints just as well. And so it's really, it depends what you're interested in and what you want out of it. So it's everyone's a little different.
I was just watching a video by, I can't remember his first name. His last name's Miranda. He's an Asian guy. He builds
Yep.
these enormous things. He built a tank. Now he's
Yeah,
working
yeah.
now he's working on an enormous printer, and
Didn't he do the huge CNC too?
yeah,
Yeah.
he does
Hi,
some amazing.
hi, Pierre. I saw Pierre's up in the chat there. How you doing? I haven't seen you in chat for a while, so good to have you here. But yeah, he built the tank you can sit in, right? The 3D printed tank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he does some pretty interesting things.
the video I was watching today is he was putting in the heaters, 4 heaters to heat the bed, and he had to work it out so that he wouldn't blow his breakers. 'Cause, I mean, he's got 4 segments of the heater. Each one is about this big,
Oh man,
and so it's like,
wow.
so he's
Yeah,
got them so that they stagger, and
Well-
he can have regions on the printer that he heats, so he
Well,
can.
and that's kind of what the new Prusa XL does. Have you seen their print bread? The
I
Prusa XL has they have little modules. They're like I don't know if they're like 3 by 3 ish or maybe 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters maybe. I can't remember how big it is, but they have a whole bunch of these that make modules that make up the bed. So you could make sure you have heat just in the region that you need it for the print, or you can have no cold zones around the edge. So if you're printing something large, because you're heating each individual little module, you get way more consistent heat throughout the whole bed. So it's an interesting approach. I don't know. It's they Prusa was the guy who came up with the original bed that heater beds that we all use now on our printers. So this is the next iteration that he's thought up. So yeah,
yeah.
they come up with
I
some pretty good innovations. So
I just have a thing about Prusa, and
yeah,
it's not Prusa or the Prusa brand or anything like that. It's the idea that what it is all the Prusa fanboys make me crazy
yeah,
because
but
they've got
there's
the
there's fanboys and everything. It's like Prusa has them, Tesla has them, right? You know, Tesla, yeah, they're great cars, but are they the only car out there? No.
if you want to say
Are they
good
most?
things about your product, go ahead, but don't trash everybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Well, I haven't heard too.
oh,
Well, I
I've seen
haven't.
so many of them. They're taking their ender and throwing it in a garbage can.
Yeah, well,
It's
I
like,
haven't seen Prusa himself trash
no, and that's
other
what I'm saying.
brands,
It's not
right?
Prusa or its printers.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot of the
yeah,
fan base that
yeah, yeah,
kind of gives me this
yeah, yeah.
kind of.
No, I understand. Yeah, but there's diehard, like some people just diehard. It has to be Corelli. Can only be Corelli, or it
See, I don't
has to
go
be
for that one
whatever.
either.
And I'm like, does it print? Does it print well?
Yeah,
Is it affordable?
I
I'm for it.
understand Elegoo makes a good
Yeah,
Hendersby clone.
yeah.
And
No, there's
there
a
are a lot of
number
good
of
things, but
there's another number of brands out there
yeah,
that make really good products that are clones, and I don't have. I've seen a lot of really bad ones as well,
yeah,
because everyone thinks they can do it, but having some experience and actually maybe having used one consistently to see how you get good results, you can understand the shortcomings, then overcome them.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah,
The only consideration that I have with a printer is, can I modify it myself?
yep,
I don't like the idea of uh, uh, priority cables and boards and those like
proprietary, yeah,
proprietary
absolutely,
stuff. Drives me crazy.
yeah. No, I agree. Like my I'm I don't like proprietary closed systems. Um, I like the idea of some of the innovations, like what's the new one that was everyone was raving about?
Oh, the
Uh,
bamboo.
yeah, the bamboo. So looks like a very solid printer. Like really, it look and the results from the initial results from the people who are printing with it looks great.
Hmm,
But there, and you can use it with right now with other slicers, but they want you to use their slicer and their environment and so I want to see how that evolves. Whether they're open to people making mods or not and whatnot. But I look at a printer, like I have the MakerBot back there, and so I've modified it now because it went out of support. Good luck getting new firmware, this and that. It was a good printer, but it was very didn't have safety features because it was so old enough and that sort of thing. So now I've renamed it to Marlin Bot because I put a SKR2 board into it, and I've got a standard screen on it. So the only thing that it's missing right now is I need to order a heated bed for it. So it's basically a silicone pad that goes on the bottom because it has a pretty substantial aluminum plate. It's probably 10 millimeters thick. Yeah, it's substantial. Like it's got some heft to it and whatnot. And so if I put a silicone heater on the bottom, they make them that like it should hold the heat nice and nice and evenly. So that's the only mod I have to do to that one. And then now it's now going to be my daughter's printer for her to be able to just print whatever she wants and really easily. So
Is it going to be
that's
an
the
AC
plan.
heater?
That one, I believe, is 48 volt.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I have some printers at work with AC heaters, and as long as you put a good quality SSR on them, they work fine.
Yeah.
And you ground it properly. The key is when we got the printers, they had the SSR turning off the power supply for the print the bed heater instead of turning off just like why would you turn off the whole power supply? That didn't make sense. So we wired it up correctly. And the other thing they didn't have is they didn't have ground wires from like the ground was open floating.
Yeah.
And that was bad. Like we didn't want that. So we rewired it correctly so that the frame is grounded. There's a ground from the bed, the aluminum bed, to the frame properly, even though, it's got springs and whatnot. We wanted a good ground so that if the AC heater did fail, it's going to throw the breaker instantly. Right. And and no one's going to get hurt. And so I think that's important is safety features need to be there on any device that you have, whether it's an Enter 5, an Enter 3 or whatever. And then the other thing to do is the beds move all the time. Wires move, this and that. There can be chafing. There can be inspect the wires. Like just do due diligence, do some maintenance, check the wires, check that everything's still, tightened down from the power supply and whatnot. Because if the neutral and ground or whatever gets loose, you'll get a disproportionate amount of power on each lead, which then can cause heating. And you don't want wires getting hot when they don't need to be.
And I always tell people if you're not absolutely certain that you know how to tell whether or not what you're working on is properly grounded, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Leave it to somebody else because
absolutely. Yeah, you have to have some knowledge. Like the very first printer I had was ANET A8. We know all the stories about the ANET A8s, the overheating problems and whatnot, because they were using a 12 volt system, not a 24 or 48 volt system, a 12 volt system. So, and then they put two thin wires from the power supply to the bed with a rigid connector that wasn't very flexible.
Yeah, no stress relief.
No stress relief. So it caused melted wires. Now, it had spots where you could put double the wires and double the gauge because if you're running such a low voltage and you need to put out high amperage, you don't want thin wires. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we've got printers with 24 volt or 48 volt now, depending on the use case, for the heating, because you can use thinner wires. They don't get hot because your voltage is higher. So you don't, your amperage doesn't need to be as high to get the same, amount of watts of power into the bed to heat it. Whereas with the 12 volt, you had to put major amps into it to get, however, I don't even remember what the wattage was on that bed, but you had to increase the voltage, the amps so much. And when you have the higher the amps, you're on a small gauge wire, your resistance is way higher, and so they get hot. So it's a good thing where 24 volt was probably the best step up in 3D printing for safety in a long time. It really was. And some of these big printers that they're doing now, some of them are 36 or 48 volt for some of their stuff, but we more commonly is the 24 volt, which we're all used to. So, and then a good firmware with safety turned on.
Yeah. I don't understand why I remember when Ender 3s first came and they didn't have thermal runaway protection turned on. I don't know why you would do that.
Well, so the original earlier versions of Marlin, but we're talking like 1.0,
Yeah.
right? Not 1.1, not 1.9, not 1.19, 1.0. They were still migrating it from, I think it was it Sailfish? Does that sound right?
I don't go back that far.
Yeah, so I think it was like Sailfish, and then they split it off. I want to say maybe if someone out there knows, I might be getting the history wrong, but once they started developing Marlin, then they realized like they're with these fires that were happening with these old printers, they realized they didn't have runaway protection and whatnot. So then they started developing it in, and so we've had it in there a long time, but a lot of the manufacturers don't take the bleeding edge newest firmware. They take the older one, and then they just kept the same config they've been using because it was working, but they weren't thinking about, well, this new version that you have, you can turn on these features. So, and that's when we have to, as a community, yell and scream and pound our fists and say, hey, this is here. It's free. Just turn it on.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's true with a lot of things. I mean, a lot of even your brand new printers now don't have baby stepping turned on. There's really no reason. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to turn it on. Just turn
and
it on.
I think we're still in the old mentality of we only have so much RAM or space, because when we had the original 8-bit boards, right, that were very common on the Enders and very common on the CR10s and most of the community, you would run out of space turning on all the features.
Yeah, you had to have ARC support turned off. I remember that. One of the first things
there's just
turn it off.
You couldn't turn on all the features because you just it wouldn't compile.
Yeah.
And so we don't have that issue now. You could turn on every feacer under the sun in every firmware.
There are some
and
people
it
that
runs
turn on,
great.
There's a certain number of people that have games that you can play on your.
Yeah. I've tried it out. I've tried out Bricks and whatnot. There's you can turn on the games in the advanced in your Marlin, and you can use your little screen to actually like play different games. And I think there's Space Invaders. I think there's Bricks. There's a few. So now, do you need to turn those on?
Well, if you want something to do while the bed's heating up.
I don't think you can use it while the bed's heating up.
Oh, then what the hell?
But
well, I guess
it's
while
just
you're
one
printing,
of the,
if you like to watch the printer,
Yeah. Pierre has a question here. I have a question. My work purchased a FlashForge Creator 3. Any comments about the Creator 3? I haven't played with the Creator 3. I think that, there's a few people that have, I think Ray might have FlashForge. I don't remember. But I can't really speak to it because I haven't played with it. So I don't know if it is running a closed source firmware, and I don't know if it is running, what slicer it runs. Have you tried it yet, Pierre? Does it have its own proprietary slicer? I don't know enough about the FlashForge. Okay.
Pressure cooker off.
Oh, that's okay. It's all good. Yeah, I don't know enough. I've seen them around. They remind me a lot of the Dremel looking, because I've played with the Dremels a lot, because when our school division that I work for got into 3D printing, they bought some Dremels. They were super expensive, and you had to use the Dremel slicer. It's an online cloud slicer, and you had to you're limited on what you could do with them. I don't know enough about the FlashForge. Yeah, I don't know enough. I think Spool 3D in Calgary sells them. And I want to say Ray might know. So you could give Spool a call and ask Ray and see if he knows. I don't see him in the chat today. Otherwise we could ask him. But yeah, so unfortunately I can't help you there. Yeah. But Dominic did bring up something interesting. Let's see if I can bring it up here. And let's see, I'll put it up here and see if I can share this. So with the we got on to talking before the show a little bit, and we were talking about Vorons and whatnot, and it came up about this new Creality product, which looked kind of interesting. Don't know a lot about it, so I'm gonna see if I can share it here. One sec. Add. Where is my? No. How do why won't it let me share a screen? There it is. Just share a screen. Got it. There we go. I figured it out. So this is the Creality Sonic Pad, and it's based on Clipper. So this is kind of interesting. So right now it's really, really hard. And Dominic, you're even saying, and I've seen it everywhere. I haven't actually tried to buy a Pi recently because I have enough Pis right now. But it's becoming harder and harder with the latest shortage to find a Raspberry Pi. So companies like Big Tree Tech have come out with a clone of the Pi that they feel will work good. They have a module you can clip it in. Now Creality has come out with their version of so it's a screen. It's got RAM in it. It's got a nice touchscreen, nice interface. It's got an Ethernet port on the back, a Wi-Fi module. It's by out of the box. I guess it works with the Ender 3 V2, the new Ender 3 S1 and S1 Pro. And they, because it's running Clipper, it simplifies, the the interface and supposedly speeds things up. So, and they're saying that it could work with any printer. Now, I've had Creality products in the past that they say could work with other printers, and they don't. So take this with a grain of salt. Your mileage may vary, but it looks interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think? What? I don't want that. I want that, and then I want to turn off this. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Dominic? Is this
in his
pique
video,
your interest?
what is it, Michael Bedelli or something like that?
I think it was
Oh no,
Sam Prentice,
Sam Prentice.
and I haven't
He was
watched the
showing,
video, so
and he shows the interface and whatnot, and he was showing where you can redefine the the specifics of your printer to make it work with other printers. I think you just have to be able to run Marlin. So, and I think that was the stipulation, is that it'll run with anything that runs Marlin. Then you can change
which is
your.
interesting. Which is interesting because with Clipper, you normally reflash your board with a more simplified firmware that talks directly to Clipper.
See, but the
So
thing is, I think with this thing is it's interfacing with your board. So I
yeah,
think your board already has to be running, but your board isn't going to run Clipper. I think Clipper is running on this tablet. I could be wrong, but that's
right.
the way I understood it.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just normally what happens is you replace the Marlin firmware with a more stripped down firmware that's basic. That basically it has the ability to talk to all the pieces that the printer is connected to. You do a very basic, and then on the heavy lifting is done by the Pi or on Clipper, where you've now defined what pieces of hardware you need to talk to over the interface to send the so it your printer is doing at that point is just moving the axes and
Right.
whatnot, and you're not limited by Marlin parameters that were previously set in the Marlin firmware, because you've loaded a basic command and control firmware that doesn't have the same type of limitations. All your limits that you put is actually in the Clipper control. So I would like to investigate this a little more. So this
Yeah.
might be something that Dave and I will look at. Maybe we can reach out to Creality, or maybe we'll have to actually fork out some bucks and actually buy one to see if it's something, because we have I was telling Dominic before, David and I train a lot of teachers to use 3D printers, and we have a bunch of Ender 3 V2s in the schools. So if there is an interface that maybe will make it easier for them to be able to just be able to print without as much hassle of switching SD cards and putting them in and out and whatnot, like because they've got little hands around sometimes that shouldn't be touching things. Maybe this might be a better thing, but I don't know. It looks. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I mean, if I could get one for cheap, I'd be certainly willing to play with it.
Well, and the price wasn't outrageous. Let me see if I got the price here. It says it's $159 US, which
Yeah.
when you
Well,
think about it,
considering you're
it's
getting a screen,
you
you're gonna
get
get
you get
screen and
a
everything.
decent sized screen and basically the equivalent of a Raspberry Pi, right? In it, but I don't know that it's open source. Right.
Mhm.
We talked previously about not necessarily liking closed source.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't know if why don't we check? Let's go on the Creality GitHub. Creality Git. Let's go on their GitHub and see if they list what is it called? It's called the Sonic, right?
Yeah.
They are not listing it. They just have the Ender 3, Ender 6, CR10, Ender 5 Pro, CR10 Mels, CR10, CR10S. So
Oh,
they
it
do
does work
not
with the Ender
have.
5?
They don't specifically say that. Yeah, right out of the
Oh,
box, it works with the 3. It works with the Ender 3 V2 and the two new SL1 and
mhm.
SL1 Pro. Or is it SL or S1 Pro? What is it called again? I gotta find it here. Yeah. So the S1 and the S1 Pro, it works out of the box. It does. They do say it can work with other printers. So, like you said, Sam was showing you how to reconfigure it. So that might be
Yeah.
something that, to try. But again, I'm not quite sure. Being that they don't even have the source available for the software and the screen, they're selling a proprietary, device based on Clipper. That right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
based on Clipper. Is yeah, because their exact phrasing here is Crowley Sonic Pad, a 3D printing pad based on Clipper. So they have maybe forked it, but if you fork it, you're technically and you're basing it on an open source project,
Yeah. You
you
have to
have
provide
to
source.
release the source code.
Yeah.
Now, I just did a quick search. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. So if anyone out there finds the correct place where they've released the software, um,
Yeah. They've
that'd
got
be
to get
great.
um, Sam in his video. He showed where they have a GitHub with different things in it.
Yeah,
But I
I
don't
mean
know
they
where that
they
is.
they do have a proprietary firmware for it here. Config and bin files. So they do have separate bin files that you have to flash to your printer.
Well,
So
you also
so
have to flash the board has its own SD card, so you have to flash both of them.
yeah. But the bin file it looks like they might have gone the Clipper route where you flash it and you're no longer running Marlin on the interface. So that's
Hmm.
interesting. Well, I'll have to check it out. Hey Gary. So yeah, so that's kind of interesting. What are you guys printing? Pierre, have you been printing anything this week? And Gary, have you been printing anything this week? And Stig, have you been printing anything this week? I showed off my mounts that I'm printing. Anyone else printing anything out there? Not seeing anything in chat yet, but um, I was also saying that, and I don't have unfortunately, I don't think I have a picture. I wonder if I can save this and upload it. Don't know if I can upload it. Where's library? Can I upload that? Because I'll see if I can show off something that I printed this week. Oh, 1 second. Mostly just brackets for work, Gary says, and no printing lately. I'm upgrading my board to an SKR2. All right, well, let me just see if I can find my picture. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to my where I would have a picture for you. It didn't upload. Let's see if I can get it to upload. Move to camera. All right, let's see if that worked. There we go. Now let's see if that uploaded. There we go.
Oh,
All right. All right, let's see if I can share this so you guys can see it. So my my boss was asking me to print him a creepy hand. So I found a creepy hand, or he found one, and then I modified it slightly because it had more of an arm on it, and we just wanted the hand as big as possible. So I printed it in this really nice silk purple, which I thought was a good Halloween color. And the silk purple is spool 3D silk purple. And yeah, it turned out really well. I did a left and a right hand, and so that's the other thing I printed this week. So yeah.
this is the last thing I printed. This is crazy. Helium 3D. It's for keeping your soda cold.
Oh yeah, is it like got
It's got
a
a
little
little,
Peltier cooler
yeah,
or something on it?
yeah. Actually, better keeping things hot, I think. That's the heat sink. The heat sink is this thing.
Well,
So,
that's the way the Peltier works, right? Is
yeah,
it's like a kind of a heat exchange type deal. So
and I really think they designed it for this kind of heat sink because it had to draw enough heat away so it wouldn't melt the PLA.
yeah, no, absolutely, and that's another good use of maybe PETG at that
PETG,
point,
yeah. Yeah.
right? Or ABS. So Stig said, I haven't been printing much either, been busy upgrading my computer and setting up various servers. And then Gary also said, I need to fix my heater power cable, then I can start printing again. So not everyone's been printing, but it's fall, it's getting cooler, or at least here in southern Alberta where I am. So I'm going to be spending a little more time indoors. So I think I will be printing quite a bit more. So I'll have some projects to show off as we move along. So, but before I forget, I've got to do one more thing. I got to thank our Patreons one more time. Thanks everyone for supporting us, Helge at the Tree Supports level, and everyone else. We appreciate all your support, and it makes a big difference on some of the content we can do. And we will have perks like the upcoming course that Dave and I are working on. Hopefully his voice will be back by the time we start doing that. Yeah, so thank you everyone. All your support makes a difference. And remember, there are perks. You can go into our Discord, you get exclusive access. I can send us your configs through Discord, and we can help you tweak them and find out problems you're having and help you out there. So thanks again to everyone that supports us. And yeah, so thanks, Dominic, for joining me today. It's
Had a great time.
It's always nice to have someone else on to either throw out suggestions and do some banter back and forth with. So thank you for being here. Oh, and hey, we have a late arrival.
Oh, cool.
Let's see if we can get him on. Stig, are you there? You did show up.
Hey, Stig.
Well, he did say he was upgrading his computer, so
Ah,
maybe he's still tweaking some stuff. No mic yet, no camera. All right, well that's okay. So as soon as we can get you a mic and camera, then we'll get you rocking and rolling there, Stig, and you can be on too. Uh, but yeah, so Dominic, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure having you here, and hopefully you figure out what you. I would start talking to your grandson, because if you need to print some Halloween stuff for him, you
yeah,
should start printing it now,
I know.
right? Because some of the prints, we know how you can go. Like they're working great, and then come breaks free or something, and then
Yeah.
you have to
Well,
start over. So
well, the
you
mask
want
from
enough
last
time,
year, the one from the mask I made him from last year, we had to make like 3 or 4 different prints just to get
right?
it the right size because
Yeah, exactly.
no
So
intended to
yeah,
flop around.
well, touch base with him. See if he's wants you to do a project, and then you'll have something maybe to share with us in the next couple of weeks
Yeah,
that
that
you've
would be
been
cool.
printing. Yeah. So well, it is the close to the time here, and I've got a kid I got to take somewhere. So I want to thank everyone again for showing up. It was great chatting with everyone in chat. And Dominic, again, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure. And we will see you all next weekend. And hopefully, David will be well enough to join us. He's been a little under the weather this week. So I'm hoping he'll be well enough. If he has enough voice, he'll join us. If not, I'm sure he'll join us in chat maybe. So anyway,